I'm Aarti Deveshar. Welcome to my sketchbook tour. This is a Strathmore Artist Styles 400 series sketchbook, spiral bound with 89 GSM paper and 70 perforated pages to tear out. I've used several different media in this sketchbook, a variety of graphite and Conte pencils, color pencils, brush markers, Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens, and some gouache and watercolors. The recommended use from Strathmore, the manufacturer, is for dry media use only, but of course it's always nice to experiment and see what works and what doesn't for me individually. This isn't a sketchbook in which I did very detailed studies or paintings. It's small and light enough to carry around, so the subjects I sketched are mostly food, the meals I was eating or more likely dreaming about, the things around me as I was traveling around London and its environs, or small concept sketches for paintings that I had ideas for. I even illustrated some quotes that I found interesting. The illustrations in pencil were mostly done on the go, at bus stops, in trains and on the tube, or in waiting rooms or cafes. The ones in full color may have been conceptualized and drawn in one of these places, and then colored in once I got home to all my art materials. Plus, of course, the time to sit and paint. I used several pages to take notes for classes, like John Muir Laws's nature journaling workshops or Bardot Brush's drawing body parts classes. A messy sketchbook like this is useful to have, one in which you can just doodle to your heart's content without any expectation of having to show it to anyone. Yet, it's an essential part of my own art process as it's helped me solidify many a floating idea and pin it down. And that's what carrying around a small sketchbook like this helps with. This isn't a style of notebook that I would usually have bought, as I'm not a fan of the spiral binding and would not use the perforation to tear pages off, preferring to use a craft knife to get a clean cut instead. It's a sketchbook that I won in a Creative Bug competition back in 2015, and it's been worth a try at least. It has not performed well when using very wet media like watercolor, and it's not meant to be used for that in any case. Gouache, though, does well, especially when used undiluted. The paper is excellent for pencil sketches, and when I used markers, they did not bleed through, always a good thing. Fountain pen would also work well, I think, though I can't recall if I used it here. I learned a couple of good lessons from using this sketchbook. The first is that I like thicker paper, whether I'm using pencil or paint. I like the solid feel of it and the ability to use any media I choose upon it. Secondly, I do like the smaller square format. I have another larger square sketchbook by C. White of Brighton, which I've almost finished, but this little size is much easier to carry around. Thirdly, it taught me not to turn my nose up at spiral binding, which has its uses, though still I'm not a fan. And lastly, I really don't like perforated pages and the rough edge that it creates. I much prefer a clean edge or the natural deckled edges of handmade paper. In the future, I would use a similar sketchbook, but with thicker paper and without spiral binding. I would carry it around with me to take notes in or complete assignments for online or in-person classes I might take. It would also be useful when visiting exhibitions where photography is not allowed, but sketching is. I think you might like my last sketchbook tour, which is a smaller notebook, the Moleskine Pocket. It was much thicker paper, and I used it for much more detailed artwork using mostly gouache. I hope you enjoyed this tour. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!